So my name is Sandra Kahumuza. I know most people know me as Sandra Twinobdio, and just to give some context, because I've seen people ask, I use Sandra Kahumuza now moving forward because those are my official names. But previously I was using Sandra Twinobdio or Sandra Kahumuza Twinobdio because Twinobdio is my late grandfather's name. But moving ahead, I'm choosing to use Sandra Kahumuza, yeah, just to cover the official matters and not to contradict myself. What do? I am so many things, I tend to think. I am a journalist, I am a host, a moderator, a reporter. I am also a youth entrepreneur. I do have a foundation called Unemployment Ends With Me Youth Initiative. I have also previously come from the UK, from pursuing my master's studies in African International Development. I'm very passionate about matters to do with development, speak of sustainability, so forth and so on. I do quite a number of things. I'm also a fashion entrepreneur, yeah, and so much and so forth. I think my journalism career started while I was at Makerere University. So I remember I was doing a bachelor's in journalism and mass communication, and someone introduced something to me called that we all have come to know as Media Challenge Initiative. Because at the time I was in my third year and I was specializing in strategic communication at the time. So when I heard of that organization, I just participated in it. It was a competition between different universities. And I would say that's how my journalism career started, because I participated as a news anchor. And I remember it was in 2017 when I won the Best News Anchor prize during the competitions. So right after that, and I tend to think actually before that, I was working as a show host for an online TV station. It had just been started by students and it was called City Television. So I would basically interview different people from different walks of life, musicians, people doing anything. And right after I won the Media Challenge prize, I went on to work with Radio City. I had a short stint with Radio City. It was a late night show, if I remember correctly. And then from there, I went to Record TV. Record TV, I was also a news anchor there. It was quite an amazing 6 months. Right after that period, I moved on to NTV, which I'm still working with now. Previously, I also got a chance to work with DW. For most people could probably know it. I was doing a show called Eco Africa, yeah, on DW TV as well. Growing up with my grandfather, he used to watch the news, to be honest. But for some reason, time for watching the news, he would send us to bed. He would always send us to bed because it was always like 9 p.m. But I remember I used to creep in and watch, behind the chair. And I was always just intrigued about it. But throughout my school career, there are so many things that happened that sort of made me feel journalism was my calling. Absolutely. I have been to the field. In fact, I should tell you that the things that I'm passionate about mostly are things to do with impact. What is the story of different people that are not normally thought about? To be honest, I think we can try to understand people who think journalists value gamble, because I think we've had so many people who've taken that direction. And it's understandable. I guess it's the era that we're operating in. But we still have people that have stuck to being professional journalists who are doing the right thing, doing it well, and doing it in the right spaces. I have such an interesting story with how I got to NTV, because I tend to think that God puts the right people in the right place for you to get to where you want to go. There is a gentleman who I highly respect. To this day, I say, you are my destiny helper. He called me when I was at Record TV and he said, you know what, Sandra, we do have space here. They're looking for a news anchor. Could you please just come in? And at the time, I hadn't graduated. I was still at Makerere University. And I remember Philip calling me and saying, just come in. And at the time, I was like, I'm not going to get it. I mean, I'm still really a kid. People work on TV are probably 5 years old or 5 years in the field. How am I going to get it? But I remember I put myself together. I made sure my hair was neat, my outfit was neat. I got a little cute file. I had a friend at the time who said, you're gonna go professional, you're gonna go, you know, do the best, you know, whether you get it or not, just make sure you do the best once you get in there. So I showed up, and because I was not on pressure to get the job, I think I did well. Because I was not like so desperate saying, I have to get this, I have to get this. I showed up and enjoyed it, and actually enjoyed it. I remember, I think it was good morning or good afternoon, and I just did the screen test. I went through it well. I went and sat, you know, the other written one, and it went well as well. And I remember when they called me and said, come in. I was like, good. Sure? Are you serious? My first bulletin happened right after I think I'd lost my uncle. I do have an uncle. He passed on. He was called Stephen Twinovdio. And it's crazy that is how I remember my first bulletin. But if I'm to speak to the bulletin itself, I was nervous, I believe. I was very nervous, but also I was passionate about showing up and doing the best I can at the job. I was really passionate about it. So the nerves did kick in, as they always do, but I showed up and I did it anyway. And I was happy. I remember marketing myself, promoting myself, putting my pictures here and there, and really generally being excited. And I'm so grateful to God that He gave me the favor and the grace that the audience actually embraced me as well. Yeah, the rest was quite easy. I just remember going into NTV and saying, what's the vision that I want to get out of this place? And I don't know how I got that, but it's a trait that I've realized I have in me. Of I walk into a space and I ask myself, what do I want to get out of this place? I remember when I walked into NTV, I said, I want to be a global moderator. I started to call myself a global moderator even before I hosted any global event. I started to say I'm a global moderator, and I also work with an international TV. And surprisingly, right after my initial, entry to the TV, I got a gig to work with DWTV right in the same year. I officially actually started with NTV in 2018, but before I completed 1 year with NTV, I had started already working with DWTV. So I started with a vision, and somehow it started to fall into place one by one. So for DWTV, it was a collaboration between Channels TV in Nigeria, NTV in Uganda, and also DW in Germany. So it's not like they were conflicting or anything. The program was to be distributed across Africa and Europe. So NTV was producing it, Channels TV was producing it. Together, they delivered the content to DW, and that's how it was distributed all across Africa and Europe. So there was no conflict at all. I sort of had a vision that I want to work for TV, for NTV, I want to work for international TV, I want to be a global moderator, and I also really want to pursue further education. I remember there's an interview they did on me, and I personally had forgotten it. And it was in 2019, and someone had asked me, what do you want to do in the next years? And I'd said, I want to pursue further education. I believe that I spoke into a season before I walked into the season. So I wanted to always, upgrade myself. And anybody that has known me, they know I'm always improving myself in one or the other. Either I'm taking on a short training, or I'm taking on, a different task, or I'm doing this and the other. I'm always searching for ways to improve myself, whether small or big. So me getting the Chevening Scholarship came from a place of, constantly saying, how do I better myself? And I genuinely felt the time had come for me to go for further school. I felt 6 years with NTV, I'd probably gotten enough experience, or a bit of experience, that would allow me to appreciate the master's. Because a master's program requires you to sort of have some background information. At least that's what I found. You appreciate the program more if you've gone through certain things. So by the time I got the scholarship or applied for it, I'd taken time to think about why I needed it. Scholarships require different things, so you need to figure out what scholarship works for you and speaks to the kind of person you are. And this is why I always tell young people, be intentional, be intentional on looking for the right opportunities that speak to you not everybody. Chevening could have worked for me, MasterCard could work for you. Any other scholarship could work for you. You need to ask yourself, what is it that you have that speaks to the Chevening scholarship? What is it that you have that speaks to what they are looking for? And to be honest, personally, when I was starting that journey, I did not look at Chevening first. I looked at MasterCard. I looked at MasterCard because I'd worked with MasterCard back here. I'd done an EdTech Mondays show with MasterCard. So I thought, okay, I've worked with them. Maybe there's something. So why not continue? But I didn't realize that what they were looking for, maybe I did not have it at the time. And Chevening was the perfect scholarship for me. They're looking for influencers, leaders, impact-led people, and that is me. I am someone who's all about impact. I'm looking for where there's impact, that's where I want to contribute, or I'm looking for an avenue to create an impact. So for me, I would say it's not an easy process, honestly, getting a scholarship. It's not easy. I had lots and lots of sleepless nights, but what really helped me was paying for, for a service called a mentor. You know, and also seeking out these opportunities. The first time I learned of someone who would lead me now to Chevening was I was at NTV normal day, and I had seen something online. I think there was sort of a school, sort of career, something at Makerere University, and it was MasterCard promoting its scholarship, I think at the University of Cambridge. So what I did, I said, let me just go listen. So I remember walking in, and I sat at the back and I listened and I said everything. This is me now searching for the opportunities, asking what is there, how can I contribute to it. So there was a gentleman, and I greatly respect that gentleman. He's called Abel Walekwa. I approached him and I said, hey, I am looking to pursue my master's. I would like to know, how do I go about this process? And I remember he looked at me and said, you're Sandra of NTV, you're the news anchor. Oh my God, it's an honor to see you. I'm so happy to see you. And I'm like, I'm happy to see you, but this is what I'm looking. This is what I'm looking for. So we started having a conversation, and because he leads a mentorship sort of group, I had to link into that and say, okay, how do I get your service? And then we started from scratch. We started saying, what does Sandra stand for? What are her values? What does she want? When you think about 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what is it that you want to get out of your life? And we started from there. So we worked backwards. We started with the end in mind and said, okay, if we are to go with this scholarship, what do we want to get out of life? So that's how I started building up my applications and thinking about, what do I need to include, what do I need not to include. I should say that I applied to so many, like so many. People shouldn't think that I got one scholarship and it was just that. I had applied to so many other things, be it MasterCard in France, MasterCard in South Africa, MasterCard in the UK, and I got a pretty no. So I applied, and on my very first attempt, I got in. It's a process again, like I said, you apply first, you wait to be shortlisted to get to the next stage. You go for the interview, which is now in Uganda. You have to impress the panel of judges who are looking at what you said, what you wrote on paper, and what you're saying, just to put it in conversation and see that you're telling the right story. And I think a few months after that, I got the famous, beautiful email that I had been selected, which was really, 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 really amazing. And I look back and I'm like, yeah. How did NTV take it? I think it was supportive, to be honest, because even when I was applying for school, I was in conversation with Kato. Kato at the time was, I think, head news editor, and I used to speak to him. Now Kato had supported me all through the journey, because I approached him and I said, I like to do stories that are impact-led. I was like, Kato, send me there. I want to get that story. So he had supported all that journey. So when I approached him and I said, I want to go to school, he said, okay, I'll write the recommendation letters. What do you need me to say? How do I support you? And he did that. And also when I approached the HR, I mean, she was very supportive as well. She wrote several letters because I was writing to several universities. So kudos to Halima. She did a good job writing the letters as well. They were very supportive for sure. And they also gave me a study leave. That's why I'm able to be back. I'm probably among the few or the many people that found studying in the UK quite easy. Not easy. I don't want to say, you know, I was telling my friends that, look, I understand why mothers, they produce 7 kids, but they tell you giving birth is painful. you know, because I always,
They still go back.
but they still go back. I was like, I'm not a mother yet, but I can understand why a mother would produce 7 kids. Because maybe after you get something and you see how it makes you feel and you feel so, like, so happy, you're like, maybe let me go back. I say that not to just retract maybe my statement of saying it's easy, because now that I got what I got out, I probably think it was easy. But when I remember traveling from Uganda to the UK, it was really not as difficult as everybody had told me. I do not know whether it is the prior travels I'd done that made it easier, or simply having a support system that was already there. Yeah, I've actually been told, I remember one time my friend told me, he's like, but Sandra, how do you want to do a master's? Because you seem to be chilling all the time. And I remember I said, my grades will tell you, you know, because the thing is, I know how to, and it's NTV that taught me that, you know how you compartmentalize, you know how, you know when to do certain things, you know what is important when and what is not, like setting your priorities for different seasons. So when it came to periods when we're not so busy in class, hey, I would traverse the country. I would enjoy the country. In fact, like, I don't have any regrets leaving the UK and coming back to Uganda, you know, because I enjoyed the country. But when it also came to schoolwork, best believe I would cut off everything. I remember my flatmate saying, Sandra, you need to come out and eat. Because when it came to writing my assignments, putting in the work, I would cut off everything. I would prepare food prior, you know, prep my meals, and then I would sit in my room and say, look, it's time to do this, and I would give it 100%. So that was how I was able to sort of balance it out, yeah. Me, I walked into the master's thinking I was going to get solutions to Uganda's problems, environmental issues, poverty, you know, all these things that I was passionate about, youth unemployment. But I walked into there and realized I left with more questions as well. What it teaches you is to be critical. Look at A and ask, if it was an A, what would it be? And if it was the other thing, what would make that? You know, it makes you question things from different sides of the story. So you don't take things off face value, you just probe in and ask and ask and ask. And the thing I saw about UK's education is that there's no wrong answer, there's no right answer. Every answer can be defended. And I think that's what master's programs really show you. Every single answer matters. Every single opinion matters. Bring it. We want to listen to it. You could simply say a leaf. I don't know, you could use any outrageous example and people will listen to it. And I think that's what makes the UK education maybe really good, yeah. I would have class at 8 in the morning, and it would sometimes be 2 hours, sometimes 1 hour. And the way the classes are structured, you will have like lectures where the lecturer is sort of giving you all these different notes, and then you have a different hour that is dedicated to sort of discussions and conversations about what you've studied. Now the difference with what I saw there is there's a lot of reading that you have to do. Like Betty, when I tell you I had to read, like you read until you cannot read no more, because every single time you're coming to class, you have to read about like 20 papers. 20 papers. If you're going to write an assignment, you're going to read about 100 papers, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to reference all these different things. So it's intense. I think that's what I can tell you. But I enjoyed it because I'd wired my brain that I'm going to enjoy this process. But it's really, really, really intense. Throughout the journey, I would meet people who are very overwhelmed. They're like, I don't think I can do this. Even me, at some point, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Let me tell you something. Further education changes who you are as a person. And I want, before I even talk about the academic aspect of things, I want to talk about what it does to you as a person in your brain. I always said that I went to pursue further education, but I went to discover myself more. And the beauty about probably getting out of the country is that you get out of what is familiar. So you are surrounded by people you've never known, who come with different perspectives, who look at life differently, who share nothing with you. And then you learn to teach yourself to navigate spaces like those. So it pushes you into extremes that you've probably not encountered before. And in that way, you learn to see yourself in a whole different way. It also allows you to sit with your thoughts and ask yourself what is important. I think I did a lot of that. And I had to ask myself what is important, what are the values that I stand for, what are the things that, you know, excite my blood, like excite me. I had to sit with my own self to figure out what I stand for, you know, and moving ahead, how do I want to improve myself on a personal basis, by the way. Even before we went on to the professional aspect, academic aspect, it changes you as a person. You can never be the same. Always have a vision board for every single thing I do. So when I came back to NTV, best believe I have a vision board for why I'm back. Best believe I have a vision board for 26 already in mind. Best believe I had a vision board 5 years ago when I started with NTV. Back then I didn't understand it was a vision board, but at least had a structure of what I wanted to get out of the process. So yes, I did have a vision board for my master's school. Number one, I was clear. I wanted to get a distinction in my grades. Then remember, one of the things that I really wanted to do was to become a Chevening social media ambassador. So I had done some research, and they had said there had never been any Ugandan social media ambassador since 1983. And I remember thinking and saying, but why? Are Ugandans not interested in taking this position or what? And then I reached out to Tina Wamala right here in Uganda. She was like, try. I feel like people never show so much interest. Please try. So I applied for it and I got it. And I also had on my vision board, I also wanted to collaborate with a UK brand. At the time, it was not clear to me which company or whatever. I just wanted to collaborate with something that was in the UK. It could have been a restaurant, a travel company, I don't know. I just wanted to collaborate with something. So that was also on my vision board. Then I also wanted to work for the Edinburgh Earth Initiative. I was clear, I wanted to work for them. And yeah, I think those were the key things on my vision board, yeah. And I actually ticked all of them. I asked God for just a distinction, and he said, hold up, you have a small bouquet, I have a bigger one for you. I got a distinction in my grades, but I was also top of my class, and I also had the best dissertation, yeah. So, yeah. And I also collaborated with the United Nations. I was working with the people who are highly celebrated in the UK. Football legends, British actor Will Porter. So it was everything on my vision board, really I ticked it off. So we just give God the glory. We thank him, we thank him, we thank him, yeah. So coming back home was easy. Because you see what happened is I came back home before I graduated. And when I say I really wanted to come back home, I missed home. People think abroad is good, and it really is. It's good if you have a vision and you know what you're getting out of it. But the thing is, I was excited to be back home. I had done what I had to do. I was done with my dissertation. I was done with my school. And my job is here. My life is here. I was like, you know what, let me come back home and see what is there. So I came back for a few, I think 2 months, then I went back for grad and then came back. Maybe what we didn't talk about that is really important is the course, the dissertation that I did. It is on artificial intelligence and broadcast journalism. And I think that is why, that's probably one of my, of the things that I'm so proud of, because it's research that has not been done before, especially for like broadcast journalists in the global south. Yeah, so I'm happy to have done that research and had people that I'd worked with contribute to it, people I've interacted with contribute to that, and give me such a great chance to bring it home. I did work with Edinburgh Earth Initiative, and it was paying me very good money, honestly. And how that job came, we give God the glory, because I initially applied for a position and I didn't get it. So when I talk a lot about God, it's because I have seen his hand too much, that it's so hard for me to not want to brag about him. I applied for a job in the Edinburgh Earth Initiative and I didn't get it. And they had not had, so there was something called Edinburgh Earth Fellows, and I didn't get that. So they created a different organization called Edinburgh Earth Associate. You work like a fellow, but you're not a fellow. And I got the job I wanted, doing exactly what I hoped to do. So for me, I felt like that was God opening a door and saying, I know you had this on your vision board, and because of that, you're going to get it. So he created a way for me. And that job really exposed me to different people, project partners from different walks of life, you know, professors from different places, different colleges, master's students, PhD students from different spaces. And I got to build my network of people and understand the kind of work they do, things that I would have probably not interacted with had I not gotten that job at all. Yeah.